Hello and welcome to the Noclip podcast. It's episode 107. We're back. We don't have a developer this week to talk about anything. Unless, Frank, did you make any video games in the past week or so?
Count the rain. I don't know. That's my favorite. Count the puddles.
What are you up to? What number are you up to?
There's like 3 on my hiking trail, so it's like Death Stranding in real life. But
wow, it's good stuff. Yeah, Sam Porter Bridges is alive and well in SoCal. Jeremy Jane, how many puddles up near you?
Somewhere between 1 and the number of stars in the universe.
Oh, wow, I love it. Have the deer been going crazy with the... Just if you don't know, people, we've had an abnormal amount of rain in in California, from south to north. We have been in SoCal. We were down at a studio. We can't say who quite yet, but myself and Jeremy at least enjoyed rain on both ends of the California coast. How are the deer? How's the wildlife up there? Is it nice and green now?
The deer and I have started a feud. We, as long listeners of the pod know that the deer and I are longtime friends, but the deer shut off my water somehow. Water, when I came back from a trip and my water was off, and I called my landlord and I was like, I don't know what's going on with the well. The water's off. And he came and he was like, oh, the switch is turned off. Did you turn it off? And I didn't, obviously. So
is it like an outdoor switch?
Yeah, there's like a tank out there that the well feeds into, and there's a switch by it, and the deer like sleep next to it, and they turned off my water.
They actually did.
Yeah.
Wow.
They're trying to sabotage me.
Sons of bitches. That's I was like, that's the irony of losing water given what's going on at the moment.
Know. Trust me, it occurred to me.
Jeez Louise. We're here to talk about, I guess, all the stuff we've been playing for the past little while. We didn't have a pod last week because myself and Jeremy were down south, enjoying some filming. We did some Hyperlight Breaker filming while down there too. There's loads of projects going on at the moment. Can I talk to you both about a game I've been playing today that I'm like addicted to?
Yeah.
Have you heard of Zero Sievert?
I've heard the name, but I don't know anything about it.
Okay, so I think this is a relatively new... I think it's like one of these indie games that's starting to like kick off a bit. It came out late last year, I believe, like maybe November time. Late November last year. And the only way I can describe this game is that it is cannon fodder meets Stalker. And I feel like those are both games from two different sort of times that are in their own way kind of esoteric, and maybe people don't really know them very well. I'm guessing, have either of you guys played the Stalker franchise?
No, not really.
Okay, but at least you have an idea what Stalker is.
yeah.
It's like a first-person shooter, but it's an open sort of world where you are it's like a different version of Ukraine post Chernobyl exploding, where it's like there are all these bandits out there because there's all these like elements or like physical objects that have been imbued with this sort of mystical radioactive essence or something, right? So there's a weird economy of these sort of mercenaries who go out into the woods and attempt to collect these artifacts, and there's dangerous animals and dangerous bandits and all that sort of stuff, and everyone's speaking Ukrainian, Russian and stuff. So that's that. And then Cannon Fodder is basically a game on the Amiga that was super popular. Actually, it came out on a bunch of stuff eventually. I think it might have come out on Mega Drive or SNES. I'm not quite sure. But it was an Amiga developed originally game where it was basically a twin stick shooter where you are an army platoon or an army group, almost like Snake, where you control the first army guy, but there's like 3 army guys behind you, and you move with the controller, and then you sort of you shoot in the direction you can shoot, and they'll all shoot in the same direction. So basically the way this works, it's a very pixel arty game where you're looking down at your character, so very lo-fi in terms of the graphics, and it's like you're wasading around the map and using your mouse to aim and shoot and stuff, but it is super systemic. and the world you're in is very Stalker. Like, you are in some base. There are missions to go on. There are areas to go out to. There's like a forest with radioactive stuff. There's bandits. It's super hard. Like, you can get killed super easily. If you get shot, you have to like, use bandages to stop the bleeding, and then use Medipack to get your health back up. You have to make sure, like, when you first go out, your gun doesn't have any bullets in it, so you have to make sure you reload and all that sort of stuff. But from the screenshots, it looks like super. Like, I'm not sure if you're looking at the Steam page, but it looks like super, like, looks like Enter the Gungeon or something.
Yeah.
Right. So I'm loving it. It's a very like it's the type of thing I really like about games where I'm unraveling how to play it, and like I'm collecting a lot of wolf pelts and seeing if they're worth selling back at the base. There's like extraction points in the levels, so you have like a base that you're in that has like an upgrade station. You can get missions and stuff from all these other little pixel art, little twee looking lads. And then you go to a train station, and the train station will just drop you off in a bunch of different places you can pick. And I think it costs money to go to some of them. And then when you do that, you can open up the map, and there are like extraction points that if you go to, it'll basically get you out of there. It's in early access, so it's a little bit rough around the edges. Like, you go to the extraction point, it just like counts down from 5, and you appear back at the base. But you can die super easily in this thing. Like, I've had a pack of wolves kill me in like 3 seconds. Just like blah blah blah.
So if you die, does it like save when you go back to the base, and then each run is kind of like, if you die, it goes back to that point?
That's what I think. It's kind of a little bit hard because I'm just right at the start to know exactly how, but it looks like you basically reload back at the train station, cool. Like before you got on. But it does a sort of an XP thing where it shows you how much XP you got. I'm not sure if you keep that XP. You definitely lose all the items and all that sort of stuff. So I don't know if it like retains some sort of XP from doing that. But the feeling of it was very much like, yes, what you're talking about probably, right? Where this feeling of, oh, I've actually gotten a lot of good shit here. I want to get out, like I want to retain this, sell all this stuff for, it's in rubles as well, I believe.
Oh, wow.
So it's neat. I feel like, I don't know how deep it goes, but it seems to be getting really positive reviews. I think it's only on Steam at the moment. It's made by Cabo Studio, who made one other game called, is it a series? No, they made 2 other games. It looks like Astronauts. Is that right? Oh, this might be a publisher deal, actually. Maybe. Yeah, it is. Sorry, maybe this is their first game, actually. I'll take it back. I think I just got pulled into the Modern Wolf publisher, who have made... I don't know Modern Wolf, and now that I'm looking at their games, I'm like, these are neat. There's a game here they released in May of last year called Cantana.
That's what I'm looking at.
Yeah, it looks like fucking XCOM.
I've heard of this game.
OG XCOM.
I have heard of this game because I was looking for games to play with my friends, and this one came up, and it kind of seemed like a good combination. We played I always confuse it with Gloomhaven, based on the tabletop board game.
Yes.
And we probably got like 120 hours out of that. And
you did, really?
Oh, it was so fun. It's one of the best games I've ever played. And it's like I obviously my friends are 3,000 miles away because I grew up on the East Coast. So it's my old high school friends, and we keep in touch. So we can't play tabletop games. And even if we could, I feel like none of us have the patience to be the guy who learns all the rules and is like, oh no, that harpy actually has like this ability, so you can't do that. But it handles all that stuff for you. But so anyway, we got really into that, and I was looking for something else that kind of scratched the itch once we got out of it. And this game came up, and it seemed like kind of a weird balance of base building and tactics, and the pixel art is really beautiful.
It's super, like, if anyone has played XCOM, like the original Gollop twin XCOM, or like Terror from the Deep, which has a kind of an even crazier art style. This looks like that with an even crazier art style. It's like, is it set on a different planet or something? It looks insane.
Yeah, it looks like it. The art for the characters that pops up is really cool too. It kind of looks like a pop art version of Mobius or something.
Oh yeah, look at that.
Yeah, it's really cool.
Man, all these games. Sorry, now it's just like promo for Modern Wolf, but all of the games they seem to have out on this are really interesting. Astronauts, like a space simulation. You're living in God, just the aesthetic of all this stuff looks super neat. It's like top down. It looks fucking dope. All their key art looks cool. I gotta look into these guys. I don't know what
These guys are gonna blow up. Calling it
Yeah.
now. I'm putting my Babe Ruth baseball bat at the outfield with these guys.
Yeah, you know when you first like come across New Blood and you're like, wow, that's neat. They have a style of game.
Yeah.
And it turns out they have like 7 of them in the works or have come out. And this looks like kind of similar. And that I think that's why like Zero Sievert to me, I think if the idea of playing one of these like, systemic open world games that's like that type of thing, combat, stalkery, and then you look at the screenshots and you're okay with the graphics, I think this is probably a game you're going to easily get lost in. It's got a lot of updates. Last updates came out. Developer update January 11th, January 17th, so it seems like it's sort of in the mix at the moment. Steam Deck compatibility seems like it's kind of half. It's 2 of the 4 if you're interested in that. Yeah, neat stuff. Zero Sievert. Pick it up today. Sponsored by Modern Wolf.
Do we know what Sievert means? That word?
I don't.
Okay, I'm googling it. Sievert.
What's
the
zero?
Sievert is the international system of units derived unit of dose equivalent radiation. Oh, okay, that makes sense.
So it's like a Geiger. There is a lot of like Geiger stuff going off. The screen has gone like crazy when I went near a building or a car that was like way too radioactive. So I did, and there's slots for wearing stuff. So I'm sure you get like big hazmat, motherfucker suits, bulletproof hazmat suits, where you're just like in the zone and trying not to get, because that's what Stalker ends up being. Stalker ends up being like, at the start, you're just swigging vodka every time you go near. Literally, that's what you do in the game to like stop yourself getting radioactive sickness, and then by the end, you're like totally like suited up, going into like the belly of the nuclear plant and trying to get all the good shit. It's really cool. Yeah, go
Awesome.
play Stalker as well. Stalker is a good video game.
Yeah, I want to play Stalker. I've heard that you should play it with mods these days is the way to play it.
I said that a few weeks ago,
Yeah.
and somebody in the comments, I think it's called the Anomaly mod, I want to say,
That
is the
sounds
one
familiar.
that people in the comments said we should check out. And I believe that's for, I could be wrong, but I think that's for Stalker Clear Skies, which is the 3rd game, which is
Okay.
definitely the one that's sort of like, it's the Witcher 3 of the Stalker games, where like the original 2 were good, but a little bit rough around the edges, and then the 3rd one, they kind of like solved a lot of the teething problems.
We should do like a video game book club with Stalker. Like all get the same modded version and then touch base on it.
Can I tell you about an idea I had yesterday for
Yeah.
a show? Because me and Jeremy have been talking about doing this like video game like movie club thing for like sort of like a movie review. Like we review video game movies. We've done it on the podcast a lot, but that we do like a sort of almost Red Letter Media style review movies. I thought of a funnier version of it, which is movie versus game, where because I came across a bunch of tapes of old games. I was like, there's like a game for The Godfather
Oh my
and
God,
like
dude.
obviously Die Hard trilogy, and I was like, that's what we should do. We should play the game and watch the movie and then say which one's better.
Yes.
That's amazing. I absolutely want to do the Godfather game.
That would be very fun. That'd be a funny episode because like even the idea that the Godfather game could be better than the Godfather movie.
Yeah.
Just the premise.
It might be the Godfather of video games, though. I mean, that's best case scenario is it's on equal footing.
Yeah, and then I thought you were going with it too because there is Tarkovsky's Stalker.
That's
night-
exactly
Yeah,
what
yeah.
I was thinking.
Yeah, and I'm like, god damn, trying to wrap your head around that movie. Like, yeah,
Right, and it's funny because like I have a Criterion Collection copy of that movie that I still have not watched. So I still have not watched Tarkovsky's Stalker, like one of the most like celebrated sort of like international sci-fi movies, and I don't. It is my understanding. Obviously, the Stalker games are not based on this fucking art house movie, but it is my understanding that there is some sort of inspirational thematic connection perhaps between those two in some way. So it's funny. That's literally why I thought of it, was that would be a really stupid reason
That's awesome.
to play a
Yeah.
great game
Yeah.
and to watch a great movie.
and it's funny because they're great, but on completely different like definitions. Like God, yeah. No, I'm all in. I think that's cool.
I'd love to do The
Yeah.
Thing too, because John Carpenter considers The Thing video game to be a canonical sequel to the movie.
You're kidding.
Oh no, I'm totally serious. I was reading about this the other day. Because John Carpenter
Wow.
famously, also happy birthday, John Carpenter. His birthday was 2
Happy
days
birthday,
ago.
John Carpenter.
Turns the ripe age of 75. Apparently, he's just chilling playing video games for the most part these days, which is
Dude loves playing video games.
Yeah.
He did a bunch of Giant Bomb Game of the Year things over the years.
Oh,
He
really?
did like 5 or 6 of them. Patrick Klepek somehow got his email address, and I think it was his son who would reply. And he wouldn't rank them. He would just say like, this game, 1 line. This game, 1 line. So you can go and check out like
awesome.
John Carpenter's favorite games of 2015 over on Giant Bomb if you want.
That's so cool. He's also a great musician. I saw him, I mean, obviously he's done music for a bunch of his movies, but I saw him live in 2018, 19, something like that in Houston, and he was ripping it up. He had like a backing band to do all the complex stuff so that he could just kind of like riff and jam out. It was awesome.
I love how he's completely like he is thought of as this like obvious this sort of new age horror auteur, and he rejects it. Like he thinks he's just like a basic dude who made some movie. He has no interest in being this like regarded like creative person. He's just like, I don't fucking give a shit.
That's awesome. Yeah, he's a lot of old school, I feel like, Hollywood filmmakers who are regarded as auteurs, like Scorsese or like that, where they're like, they treat it like they're a carpenter or something,
Yeah.
where they're like, yeah, I come in and I like measure the wood and I just cut the wood, and then you get a movie.
There's a great like Q&A clip. Like I feel like every time it's John Carpenter's birthday, these clips will go viral and be retweeted. But there was one interview where he's like at a Comic-Con or something, and someone asked him like, John Carpenter, what do you feel about the Halloween remakes? Aren't they terrible? Aren't they like damaging your reputation? And he says, there's a great thing that happens every time they want to make a Halloween remake. I open up my check, or I open up my hand, they put a big check in it, and I go back and playing Xbox. A few years later, they say, hey, do you want to make a Halloween? Can we make a Halloween remake? Sure thing. I open up my hand, they put a check in it, and I go back to playing Xbox.
What
So
a
it's
king.
great.
What a fucking king.
Love it. That's absolute YOLO County.
Yeah.
Just like whatever.
Yep.
That's so good.
Wow.
John Carpenter, what a hero.
Let's get him on the pod.
Oh man.
Yeah, I feel like, you know what? That's the problem. I bet he just like, I kind of don't want it because he probably just wants to be playing Xbox.
That's true.
You know? He's
But we
like,
could just not talk to him about his movies at all. Just be like, what's a game you like? Let's come just
Yeah.
like rant about it and we'll enjoy it.
I wonder if he'd be interested in the process of game creation at all. Like, just because he is a creative person, he writes music and makes movies and stuff. Like, I wonder, you know, even if he doesn't want to get into it, which I'm sure he doesn't.
Yeah.
I wonder if he's at all interested in that process or not. You know,
Okay,
maybe.
here's a project pitch. We set up a call. We find a game that he's really into, that he's interested in and like curious about the creation of, and we get in touch with the game director of that game, and we facilitate a Zoom call, get them all on like a call, and then we record it and have him just like interview it. Then we make a Noclip doc hosted by John Carpenter.
Okay, let's go. I'm going 10 years back. Here are John Carpenter's top 5 games of 2014.
Okay, here we go.
From Giant Bomb. Number 1, Assassin's Creed Unity.
Okay.
Wasn't expecting that. 2, Far Cry 4, in brackets, despite loading screen issues. This is also the totality of what he has said. There's nothing else.
Oh my God.
3, The Evil Within,
Okay.
Yeah.
on brand. 4, Borderlands the pre-sequel. And 5, Murdered Soul Suspect,
Okay.
which is a game I have not thought about in about 10 years. Any of those you want to make a doc on, lads?
I feel like Evil Within, John Carpenter leading a doc about the Evil Within would be pretty cool.
Yeah. Or about like even John Carpenter talking about J horror. Like there's
Yeah.
an interesting thing there.
J horror, is that Japanese horror? Is that
Yeah,
what,
yeah.
It's J horror,
Yeah.
J pop, J horror, J food.
Yep. Just throw J before it.
I got 2013 here. If you want to see that,
Yeah, let's have it.
okay. There's a little bit of text associated with these ones. Top 5 games of 2013. Number 1, Assassin's Creed 4 Black
He
Flag.
loves Assassin's Creed.
Dude is just a huge Ubisoft fan. Like, who fucking knew? John Carpenter loves Assassin's Creed. Probably a big Splinter Cell guy. A classic Assassin's Creed. Gameplay, awesome world, fabulous game, is what he says. Number 2, Far Cry 3.
He loves Far Cry.
He loves Far Cry and Assassin's Creed. Is there someone at Ubisoft that just sends him free games?
Yeah,
And like
he
and
just,
this is just
he
like,
just gets them in the mail like the checks for Halloween, and it's just like, oh, cool, all right.
I bet he likes the open world games because he doesn't like being told what to do. So he's just like, I'm gonna go be my own Rambo. I'm gonna go
Hell
out.
yeah. Oh my god.
Far Cry 3, magnificent open world adventure is what he says. Number 3, The Last of Us.
Yes.
Interesting. All
Very
right.
appropriate for our times right now. Great characters make this a classic. Number 4, controversial. This one I feel like Dead Space 3,
Okay. Sure.
largely regarded as the weakest of the three.
Yeah.
Scary Snow World and Twitching Monsters. Please dismember.
Okay, that's very the thing. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes,
I was gonna say.
I like it.
I think he just likes seeing his work reflected in the modern media landscape.
Number 5, Remember Me.
Oh
Which-
wow.
What is that?
Again, is another like...
That game is pretty underrated. I remember I played that like in 2016. I actually liked it. It's a weird like it takes place in like a Neo Paris. Like you're going into
Yes.
memories. It's pretty cool.
He says, unique female leading character in futuristic action game.
Interesting.
And number 6, so consistent, Borderlands 2.
He loves franchises, dude.
He's a huge franchise hog. Hey, look, maybe we should have known with Halloween. He's a huge he loves Far Cry, Assassin's Creed, and Borderlands. Borderlands 2. I know it's from 2012, but the last add-on is this year, and this is a brilliant, funny, action-based game. My favorite, although it was number 6 on his list, so I'm not quite sure how that lands up. So he's so deep in Borderlands, he's downloading DLC a year after it came out.
Jesus, dude. He's really big into Claptrap, I bet. You know what I mean? He just loves
think-
those
yeah.
Claptrap bits.
Do you think he laughs we should get, does Mikey Newman know that? We should talk to Mikey and say like, yo, I think John Carpenter really likes your writing, dude.
Yeah.
Absolutely amazing. Do we have one more? There's, no, I'm not sure if I think this might be audio only, which is a shame. So anyway, there you go. That's John Carpenter, just huge Assassin's Creed fanboy. Ubisoft fanboy. Who fucking knew?
I love how punchy his little bylines are too. He's just like, it's good. This big world, big guns, small guy fighting. Like, just love it. Yeah,
he
little
writes
phrases.
in log lines like.
Yeah, yeah. He writes it like he's too busy playing the game to be bothered writing about it. You know what I mean?
It is amazing how he doesn't even stand on ceremony for that. He's
Yeah.
just like, they would just want to know the games. I'll just give them a little bit of context for it. We just want to know the patrons. We really appreciate them, especially our Battle Pass holders, who I almost forgot about. Jason Drury, Cody Krieger, Sven Huster, Forrest Pruitt, Andy Fagan, Cameron Ladd, George Sakotis, Jacob Godserv, Tohir, Tiliev. I tried to do it all in one breath. Tohir, Tiliev. Thank you all for supporting us in our adventure to make videos about video games. There's not enough people doing it, so we're really appreciative that you're helping us. We're trying to make stuff that's a bit different. This big box of videotapes behind me, I'll get into that in a minute. But I want to hear about some of the games you guys have been playing. Jeremy, we didn't really get to chat much. We haven't chatted to you this year. So what was your Christmas break like? Did you play much? Was there any game of the year leftovers or that type of stuff?
Yeah, I spent a lot of my Christmas break making a game, a little RPG as a gift for somebody.
Whoa.
Yeah, it was like a very small RPG. It probably was about 30 minutes long. The premise of it was that you play as a small, irreverent cat who works at a used game store, and a mysterious...
Reverent.
Yeah, he's
Like
kind
a priest.
No, not Rev. He's he's a priest. So he
Sorry.
So
misinterpreted.
he works at a game store, and a mysterious stranger comes in one day and sells him a bright red PlayStation disc for the original PlayStation 1. And it turns out that the disc is cursed, and that the stranger is trying to offload the curse onto him, because to get rid of the curse, you need to sell the game to another person.
It's like a Ringu situation.
Yes, it is a dread play is the trope in literature, like the King in Yellow.
Right.
And so I made that. There was a musical number in it. There was a Silent Hill style Otherworld where after acquiring the disc, things turn like kind of warbly and red, and everyone is burning in hellfire.
Oh,
And,
wow.
yeah, it wasn't very Christmassy, but I think it was a good gift nonetheless.
This is amazing. Presumably, we won't see this game because it might be a bit gauche if this was like a thoughtful present for one person, presumably somebody important to you. I can't. There's no Steam keys for this, is there?
Well, no, but it's funny you say that because the way I presented the gift was to load it onto my Steam library and send a screenshot of my Steam library and be like, "Oh, I got a key for this game from this weird like reclusive game developer."
That's smart.
But yeah, no, I'm definitely gonna show off a bunch of it on the next Jane Dev. But
cool.
I probably won't do like a full playthrough because, like you said, it's like reading a birthday card that you know what I mean. But yeah, so if you pay attention to the Noclip Crew channel, and you'll see a little bit of that. I think it's kind of fun.
Did the receiver of the gift complete the game?
Yes.
Did they say,
yeah.
This is shit.
No, I had her stream it to me so that I could watch her play it. And,
cool.
Yeah, it was very fun. A lot of weird little in jokes about shared things like Akira Kurosawa. We're both into Kurosawa, so a bunch of weird little niche jokes in there. When you're making a game for one person, you can really precision missile strike those bits of humor. You know what I mean?
QA is probably pretty easy too.
I mean, it's funny you say that again because I had to QA it myself, and on Christmas Eve I was like, "Yeah, it's done," and then I was like, "You know what? Actually, I feel like I fucked something up," and I went back and there was a bug, and I was like, "Oh, Jesus Christ!" Now, like, it's a 30-minute linear horror game, and there's bugs. I can't imagine making like a Assassin's Creed Black Flag.
No, John Carpenter does not want to play your video game.
He probably would actually.
Probably it's not large enough.
True.
It's not French or French Canadian enough. Frank, One Piece Odyssey, is that out yet?
Yeah, that came out last week. And normally I avoid demos because like I'll just wait for the full thing. But I was kind of on the fence of One Piece Odyssey. So this is a full-blown Dragon Quest like JRPG based on the One Piece manga and anime franchise about pirates. So there was like a free 2-hour demo that I downloaded, and if you beat the demo, you can export your save. And I got the demo, and I really liked it. It's very cute. It's very easy, but I wasn't sure if that was just the demo. But I've since continued. I bought the game, continued my progress, and it's very breezy and easy to play. But that's kind of nice because a lot of times in JRPGs, I'll like get my ass destroyed by like a crazy boss, or there's so many complex systems. The One Piece game, you immediately start with, like, I would much say, like, 6 of the core, like, characters, so you can swap characters out, so you're never concerned about, like, dying. I don't know. It's very easy, but I really like it. It's very breezy and fun.
What's it, like, closest to in terms of gameplay? Because JRPG can kind of go in a lot of directions.
So, it's so funny, because from the looks of it, it looks a lot like Dragon Quest. Which is very turn-based. It's not Pokemon where it's like there's one specific character, they do their things, and there's like 3 classes. There's like power, I think speed, and technique, and it has kind of like a rock paper scissors element where like one class is strong and are weak against the other, and because it's so based on strong versus weakness, it kind of reminds me of the combat of Persona, because Persona's JRPG combat is also a lot of like use this fire type against ice to then put them in a weakened state, and then you can go in and attack them. I think Final Fantasy like 7 did this also, like the PS1 version, but also within the combat, there's like different planes. Enemies can be farther away or closer to you, and your party members could then jump across and fight on different planes. So like, there's kind of.
But how many characters are you controlling at once? This is all 3D, by the way.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. So at any time you have 4 players like in the fight in the rotation, but you can swap out your party members, kind of like Final Fantasy X. So it's like, and you don't waste a turn by switching characters. So like, it's pretty easy and breezy. And so I would say like, if you don't care about One Piece, this isn't for you.
Okay.
But if you're a One Piece fan, it is nonstop fan service. You can play as different characters. Even when you're walking around the town, you can swap your avatar. There's different costumes based on like what arc of the manga. So like, yeah, it's pretty breezy and nice. So I do like it. But yeah, if you're not interested in One Piece, this isn't for you. But if you like One Piece, this might be the best One Piece game I've played, because in the last month I've sampled One Piece World Seeker, which is kind of like an Assassin's Creed One Piece.
John Carpenter, man, get him on the blower.
It's a generic open world thing, and it was kind of slow and boring. I played One Piece Pirate Warriors 4, which is like the Dynasty Warriors, and that game is incredible. But it's like Vampire Survivors, where it's kind of mindless but fun.
Right.
But then the One Piece Odyssey is good because it's good combat. Like all of the character moves are taken directly from the source material. The moves they use, there's a lot of great fan service, and then like the story and dialogue is like quippy and fun, and there's side quests and stuff you can do too. But yeah, I like it. But the funny thing about playing One Piece Odyssey is like I was really excited for it, but it was simple. I wanted something deeper, and then it scratched my brain of like, wait a minute, I still need to play Persona 4. So I kind of parked One Piece Odyssey, and then I dug up my Persona 4 save from 2020.
Oh, nice.
Awesome.
So like, and then in the last, I don't know, few days, I put like 10 hours into Persona 4. So now I think like, oh, I think I'm just going to ride with Persona 4. But then One Piece will still always be there. But so those have been like kind of the two games I've been going hard into, both JRPGs.
That's wild. I did not realize quite how many One Piece games have been made.
Oh,
That
it's
is-
nuts.
It's
Yeah.
insane. I'm looking at it. Because you said Pirate Warriors 4. I was like, there's a whole like Dynasty
Yes.
Warriors like series of 4 games?
It's crazy, and like each one, like, and the manga itself has been running since like '97. So, and like there's
Oh,
1,000
okay.
episodes of the anime. So there's so many arcs, and like, the guy just uses the One Piece franchise just to fill it with so many different adventures, kind of like Conan Barbarian or any long running franchise where it's just
Yeah.
it's all this crazy stuff is in here. So every like even Pirate Warriors game that has different characters based on what arcs there are. So part of me like I kind of want to go back and play Pirate Warriors 3 and the others. There's a yeah like. So part of me does want to go through and just like play all of these games as I get into the manga, but I think part of it why I'm hesitant to dive deeper into these One Piece games is I'm still catching up on the manga. And in playing the games, it's not really spoilers because I don't care that
Yeah.
much, but it's like, hey, this is when you meet this character, or this character is actually this person's grandfather. And I'm like, oh shit.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, they're like, remember when John died? And you're like,
Yeah.
I'm not going to read that episode for like 3 years. Also, there are 56, it says on their wiki for One Piece video games, the series contains 56 games, including 11 mobile games. That's a lot of games.
Wow.
I guess that's
Yeah.
proportional to the 12,000 episodes there are. That's not that many.
Yeah, good point. Yeah, it's right there. Can you because you've only just sort of started into this world, Frank? Why is it called One Piece?
So many years ago, the pirate Gold D. Rogers, when he was executed, is the most famous pirate in the world. He said, "Ha ha ha! You'll never find my treasure because I took it all and I buried it in one piece." So the world's massive treasure, like the 1%, like the 1% of all the pirate treasure, it's all buried in one piece. So all of the pirates are on this mad adventure to find the one piece. In 1,000 episodes, they still haven't found it.
That's
But-
awesome.
Yeah, but that's why. It's the one piece is all of the treasure in the ocean is buried, and so yeah.
I don't want to be like a grammar Nazi over here, but I'm not sure that's like grammatically accurate. Would you describe a collection of things as a piece?
Yeah, the one piece. But so we don't know what the one piece is. Maybe it is just
Maybe
one
it's
piece of
one
treasure. I don't know.
coin.
Maybe melted.
Maybe it's one coin with like $1 trillion written on it. Like it's one.
Yeah.
It's one piece that's worth that much.
Print the $1 trillion bill.
Yeah.
Also,
Also,
solve the inflation or whatever.
Yeah, it's catchy too. Like you can't just call it like one. If the anime
Place.
was called One Location, one place. That's like
Yeah.
that's actually pretty. That's not bad.
One place.
One place.
One piece. I like the idea that he like perhaps melted it all down
Oh man.
to one
big
piece because
coin.
that would be a nightmare if you found it. It'd be
How would you move it?
yeah, be like driving through the desert and finding an arcade machine. You'd be like, well, fuck. I guess this is staying here unless I can find 4 friends. When we moved out of the house in Oakland and I had the NBA Jam cab I bought off of Jeff Gersman, I had of all the things those guys moved into that was the only thing they had trouble with. It was just like insanely. They're just dense. It's like made of mercury.
Do you know how much it
Something like
weighs,
that.
like approximately?
I don't.
Okay.
I should have.
I'm just googling weight of arcade cabinet because I'm so curious.
Weight of an NBA Jam cabinet. I bet
2 tons.
because it's like got 4 control. Does it have 4? No, it's only got 2. It's
Okay,
only
we
2.
got this one weighs approximately 200 pounds.
Yeah.
This one says
easily.
250 to 300 for another one.
I'd say it weighs more than me, and I'm like 250, man. So this
And you don't
thing's
even
like-
play NBA Jam on like your physical being can't play any video games. You know what I mean? Like
Oh, like on me, like
Yeah.
somebody couldn't walk up to me.
yeah,
And start like twisting my knobs, and I could say, "He's on fire
from downtown.
Boom,
Boom,
shakalaka.
shakalaka." Exactly. Yeah.
Tony Pippen.
Exactly. Yeah. Elijah Wan.
Oh my god.
Classic game. NBA Jam. Good times. Should we talk a little bit about The Last of Us TV show? television show. Me and Frank have watched it. Jeremy, you've never played any Last of Us games, so I'm guessing you've not watched.
Oh,
the
I
TV
played. I loved the first Last of Us game.
No, you've never played.
I don't. What is it? The Last of who?
You've never.
You've
That was
a
that was a
dream.
One Piece spin-off.
Oh yeah, you're right. I guess there were a lot of pirates.
Sorry, I didn't realize you did play the original.
I played it when I was super into video games as a young person, got out of video games for a while, got the job at GameSpot after like a 2, 3, 4 year drought on video games, and was like, I desperately need to catch up on video games. And I played Black Flag and The Last of Us.
Assassin's Creed Black Flag.
Yeah. John Carpenter.
Probably
John Carpenter's Assassin's Creed Black Flag.
It was. He mentioned that one, didn't he?
He did.
He did. Yeah, I'd love to see it. Cool. So, have you watched the show?
I have not.
Okay, so it's out on HBO. Came out. They're doing the whole weekly thing because it's HBO. Came out on Sunday. A lot of press behind it, like outside of games. Even there seems to be a lot of, it's hard to tell these days with targeted marketing and cookies and shit whether you're getting like. But I've seen it like mentioned. Like there's been a lot of Pedro Pascal. And I forget the girl's name, like on Jimmy Kimmel and all these shows, right? So they're pushing this thing hard. And I watched it Monday with my wife. She's gonna watch it. She had weirdly enough played maybe the opening 3 hours of Last of Us. She bounced off it because she is actually more of a Far Cry and Assassin's Creed. She likes the open world versions of those games. She hates story, so it was kind of like the worst game to ask her to give a go. But we watched it. Frank, what do you think? I have some thoughts on it, but what did you make of it?
It was.
Yeah, actually, no. I was about to say something. I'm not going to say that. Just go ahead.
It was better than I expected. I knew going into it, it's like, no, like I think the thing that tipped me into being fully stoked on it was like there was a Neil Druckmann piece in the New Yorker like 3 or 4 weeks ago and they interviewed Craig Mazin also, and they were like, no, we're really making sure this is good. Like we're really like we know the pressure. We're gonna nail it. So I was like, okay. And then, because like even when the trailer came out, I didn't want to watch it because I was like, I'm like so afraid of any video game adaptation. Like I don't know, I don't buy it. But then I started watching it, and then I was starting to get goosebumps. And then like every like reflection or repetition from the game, and then every variation, I would get so excited. And then there was iconic moments that would happen. I'm like, holy shit, holy shit, holy shit. So they nailed it. It was better than I expected. I am so excited. It also feels good to have a Sunday prestige show to look forward to. I've been missing it for like a month or two. So yeah, I could park it here. We can keep going. But I was really stoked on it, and I'm sold. Also, yeah, Pedro Pascal is so good as Joel. Like the whole cast kills it. But,
the cast is great.
Yeah.
Like top to bottom, I am pleasantly surprised. I think weirdly enough, I think that Lord of the Rings show is one of the most expensive TV shows ever or something. But my feeling watching that show was this got like 70% of the budget it needed and weirdly enough, House of the Dragon I really liked because I think the writing and the script and the characters and the performances are very, very good. But similarly, there are some times where I'm like, doesn't have that scale. It feels like it's almost like TV shows have found this new sort of cheapy middle ground where it still looks really good. Like The Mandalorian's another one of these where it like they're smart in the production to try and keep the cost down as much as possible, right? You can kind of tell there's some sound stages and when they're using the voids or whatever. So it doesn't feel like a Hollywood production, right, where there's like loads of this big infrastructure. So I've been going into these with like tepid expectations, and I do think in a way there's some of that in here. There's some like, oh, that's a good set and that's a blah blah blah. But overall, I'm super surprised at how expensive this thing feels. It feels like prestige TV. It doesn't feel like a knockoff or some derivative thing. Like the cast from top to bottom, most of them are people I don't know. Oddly enough, the lady who plays I forget the leader of the Fireflies. I forget her name. Marlene, is it? Mm-hmm. Is that her name? Is Alex Vance. That's
really?
the performer. Yeah, it is. Yeah, which is like 20 years removed, but because she the voice, but also I know her face was done as a likeness for Alex Vance as well. So she doesn't do Alex in Half-Life Alex. They revoiced her for that. For I don't know why, but that was what they did. But yeah, it's. But the thing that's the blocking the editing, the script is it's so tight. It's like genuinely very, very good. And I was talking to my wife about it after, because the first episode is basically the first hour and a half, 2 hours maybe of the game. But I was talking to her and I was like, it feels like they spent 10 years thinking, how could we do that better? You know, how could we add more character to these characters? How could we justify or loop in certain elements? Like the whole, we won't get into spoilers, we'll talk around and stuff, but the whole Joel and Tess trying to get the thing back from the guy who screwed them over is way more looped into the Firefly stuff in a way that also feels very natural. The way they introduce those characters, the way they introduce Ellie is done sort of before, obviously because it's a movie, so you can jump to a different perspective, right? Which you can't in games, in a game like that. So they utilize that. All the stuff with Joel pre-pandemic is so well done. That opening 35 minutes is, they could have done something super derivative, and there's definitely the final sequences of that there's parts of it that are like, this feels almost shot for shot, but in a cool kind of interesting way. But the lead up to that was so good, wasn't it? All that opening 30 minutes I thought was fantastic.
Yeah, it gave me goosebumps because when I was I don't know, 12, 13 was when I was really diving through all of zombie cinema, like Dawn of the Dead, Day of the Dead. Even 28 Days Later was coming out at that time. Even Zack Snyder's Dawn of the Dead, which I loved. So I was I felt like on edge of my seat, during the actual zombie sequences, oh my God, the truck sequence where Sarah's in the back seat. It's holy shit, they nailed it. The burning firehouse. That family has kids, so do we. Keep going. I'm oh my God, this is awesome.
There's the brother stuff, they loop that in a smart, the reason why he's out. I always thought that in the game, the reason why Joel is out of the house when you're walking around as his daughter, right? It felt a bit weird that he's sort of just come in through that window, but they contextualize that a lot better, and they do with all of it's very sharp. It's but it definitely feels like a couple of revisions on what they had sort of done before. Really into it. The opening, I think it's the DOP from Chernobyl as well, if I'm right.
Oh, cool.
The director of photography. I think you say DP over here. He and the opening 5 minutes is like something straight out of Chernobyl. The talk show in the 60s about the mushrooms and global warming, and it's cool. I don't have a bad word to say about it. I think going in with sort of tepid expectations probably helped both of us, maybe.
Yeah.
And there's a lot more story to tell, and it's weird watching a show where you kind of know basically what happens, though, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. It was funny for me because I watched it with my mom, and saddle up the opening stuff with Sarah. When my mom's reaction to that was I also felt bad watching the show because I know what's gonna happen, and it still got I had so much a huge lump in my throat, and I had tears again, God damn, it just keeps happening. It's great. So I'm excited to keep watching with mom, her reactions. I'm excited for people who one, don't even care about video games. If they're watching Last of Us, are they stoked on it? Is this the same audience of Game of Thrones, Walking Dead? Is there Chernobyl fans? Because I did see it cross. I follow a lot of film critics and sites. I saw IndieWire posting about it /film, and I'm eager to see other film and TV people. Will Del Toro make a tweet being oh, this is a masterpiece? I always like Del Toro. I want to see film canon people talk about this stuff too. But I really liked it.
Get John Carpenter's take on this one as well. Presumably he'd watch. I don't know. He's a fan of the game, so why not? Yeah, I'm interested in how, from the trailer, they had one of those if you wanted to, coming up on this season of whatever. And it kind of looks like it's I don't, it's hard to tell, but it kind of looks like the first season is the first game. That's the vibe I got from it anyway. Which feels like a good pace, I think, and you can kind of tell the beats already, but I think production wise they clearly threw a lot of I wonder if this is part of Sony being in the room and they're making sure you treat this property with the respect it deserves, or the respect that they kind of require of it. It's very much a prestige game for Sony, the way they treat it, the way they talk about it and what Naughty Dog does, and it's kind of in that circle with Santa Monica and maybe Guerrilla as well, where they're very self-serious about how they promote those games and talk about those games, that I could see them not wanting to go down this road unless they were sure that whoever they were partnering with was going to take it seriously. Which I think, it's fair play, I guess, because definitely seems like it's got a lot of money and thought put behind it. Yeah, and interesting to see how, like, it's weird to have a show that I was able to watch and enjoy because of all the changes and because of the, you know, I replayed The Last of Us Part 1 last year, you know what I mean? So I'm intimately familiar with this entire fucking thing again. But and then, yeah, like I said, I'm interested in what you're saying and what, like, new people think of this, because it's impossible to watch it without knowing all that stuff. But yeah. Good stuff. The Last of Us on HBO. Jeremy, what else you got here? You've been playing some Apex and complaining that it's not Battlefield 2.
It's not that I don't like Apex. It's that so I've been playing a ton of Apex Legends with my friends. We got really into it probably like a year and a half ago. Like early pandemic, got super into Apex as a group. Stopped playing it for a while, and then recently got really back into it. And the weird thing about it is that Battlefield 2 is probably my favorite FPS of all time.
Right.
In fact, I did a video essay at GameSpot all about just like nostalgia for Battlefield 2. Like, I think it's called "Is Battlefield 2 as good as you remember" or something.
Okay.
It's got like,
I'm gonna check out the views on that.
I think it has like, I think it's got a couple million on it. It's
oh my god, really?
Yeah, I think it popped off.
Could you redo it for Noclip Crew? We could use those views.
I have a video idea that is sort of a
2.3 million views.
It's not bad. It's not bad.
8 years ago, mate.
I know, it's a long time. I was fairly fresh out of college too, so if you listen back to it, I feel like my lexicon is like a little too highfalutin for the subject matter. You know what I mean? There's a few too many silver dollar words for talking about Battlefield 2.
Dude, it worked. It's also like a fucking 5-minute video essay.
Yeah.
Tight. Yeah. Just get it. You were like, Tyroot's been off my ass for 2 days. I haven't had to do a graphics comparison this week. I got an afternoon. Time to do something on Battlefield 2.
Yeah, and I got to play Battlefield 2 at work, which is the real dream. It was really that was sort of the core impetus, was what can I do to let me play Battlefield 2 at work. But playing Apex makes me think of what I liked a lot about Battlefield 2, which is the kind of like, because I played Battlefield 3 and 4 a little bit, and they never clicked with me. 3 felt very mechanically good, 4 a little bit less so. But I feel like the maps of Battlefield 2 were constantly, like Karkand and Mashter specifically, had these kind of like these points of interest with really interesting topography between them, and it created these really interesting like you have to hold a building or you'd be assailing a building, and you would know that there was like people in there, and it was all about this kind of like mental mapping of the battlefield, of like where people are and where threats are coming from and how you're going to make a plan of advance. And that's what I really like about FPS. In fact, when we were doing Game of the Year stuff and I played a little bit of the new Call of Duty, it was over the free weekend when they had free team deathmatch. Because Warzone is free, but I wasn't going to buy the whole game just to like test it out or whatever. So I played a little bit of, they had a 24/7 Shipment playlist. Shipment, famously like the most clusterfucky Call of Duty map ever.
Yeah.
And
you just spawn and die.
I played it, and I felt like I was 1,000 years old. I was like, oh, why is everything moving so fast? Like, it just was like the
just throw your grenades immediately.
Yeah,
they might kill someone.
Totally. And the TTK, the time to kill in Call of Duty, is also very low. So it's just like you just like pull the trigger and just like spray, and like 17 people die and you're dead, and it's been like 10 seconds. Which is probably why Warzone works so well and why people resonate with it, because the team deathmatch in Call of Duty can get so like spammy or whatever. But so it kind of like lacks that flow, which is interesting to me in FPS, is like the map awareness, positional awareness, knowing where threats are coming from, and knowing like creating a plan and then executing that plan. And that's kind of what I like. And I feel like Apex really kind of scratches that itch for me, even though I'm not really that big on Battle Royale as a genre. Like, I liked PUBG kind of in spite of Battle Royale, and I feel like Apex is the same thing. But yeah,
there's you're sort of onto something that I've been thinking about recently, which is when you said PUBG and like and specifically about Battlefield 2, where we've sort of lost this. That we have a lot of games where, you know, the sort of Counter-Strike-esque, the small map and you know every inch of it, kind of Valorant and kind of to a certain degree Call of Duty multiplayer is kind of a little bit like that as well. And then you have the sort of wide-scale Battle Royale. You know, this is a really big map, or like kind of modern Battlefield games that are like the maps are, you know, 5 times as big as they were in Battlefield 2. Whereas in Battlefield 2, they were somewhere in the middle. They were like, you had to get to the next place, but it wasn't that far. So you ended up, but it wasn't super tight like Call of Duty, like Counter-Strike. And then I think the other thing that those games had going for them, especially where we are with the whole just the amount of fucking detail that's in modern video games is that most of the Battlefield 2 levels were in the desert.
Yeah.
And that's a very like easy place to have negative space in, because you just have like yellow sand dunes and then you can see a building or like a bigger building, or you know what I mean? Whereas when they're making these games in like cities and they have all this super detail and reflective surfaces, they do have to do a lot of like telling you go here. Whereas when it's like just a map with like 5 buildings in it, like, or even Battlefield Vietnam is the same thing.
Yeah.
The places where there isn't jungle is where you're supposed to be.
Yeah.
You know, you're attacking. It's very obvious where you're supposed to go.
Yeah,
and you just don't have that.
It's funny you say that, because I was talking to a friend last night who's like but one of my friends is so into FPS. He's like the best at every game I've ever played that I've played with him. He's like the top rank, just like insane at every game. And I was asking him, because he's a big Battlefield fanatic, like where the series kind of dropped off after 2 for him, because 2 is his favorite as well. And he was saying that like 3 had a couple of good maps, but that the aesthetic felt very busy for him, that it lacked sort of the readability of 2. And it's funny too, because Battlefield Bad Company 2 is kind of the other crown jewel of the Battlefield series for me. And I went back and watched footage last night, and it is the most desaturated thing I've ever, like, it's so bright, it's so desaturated. It kind of looks like the Hurt Locker. Like, it's that era where I think that they probably came out like the same or within a year of each other or something. But just like,
it's not quite Bleach Bypass, but it's kind of like a similar effect.
Yeah, exactly. Like it seems like one of the fallouts of 9/11, unintended fallouts, was the removal of all color from American media. But yeah, so yeah, it's something about the readability, something about the maps, because even in Battlefield 2, there were so many other maps that, like, it's not that the game was incredibly mechanically superior in every way to 3 or something. It's just that, like, there were a few maps that were so good and had such good map flow that, you know, when you're playing like some of the China maps in Battlefield 2 were just like these giant, empty, meaningless voids of combat. Yeah. So yeah, I don't know. It's got me thinking a lot about the importance of good maps, even above kind of like the mechanical stuff and the TTK and like how all those things play into the game feel.
Are you still enjoying Apex then?
Yeah, totally. Yeah, I've been playing a bunch with my buddies, and yeah, it's been nice. It's kind of like, I like having a game to play with my East Coast friends, because it's you know, it's hard to just be like, hey, we should all just hop on a call and like catch up on each other's lives. Like, I don't know if that's like maybe it's because we all grew up in like a kind of like a repressed Northeastern environment where like male intimacy is like verboten. So it's like, we need something to, you know, we need to like, there needs to be a centerpiece to hold the space. It's like, well, we can't just like talk about our feelings, man. We gotta like play some games or something. Yeah, I don't know. But it's nice to have something that's like actually fun to connect over and play with them. But it's a really fucking good game.
Yeah. It's funny, isn't it? Yeah, the same way with like the fantasy football and stuff. It's like me and my mates, that's how we keep in contact. Like, I'll talk to them about life stuff more during the season than I will during the off season.
Totally.
It's just like, yeah, I don't know what it is, man. We're just emotionally fragile, lonely soldiers. Us men
in the trenches is the only place I can talk about my feelings, man.
Exactly right. Fucking hell. Any other games anyone's been playing? Did I talk about Tinykin? I think I did. Did I?
I feel like last week
you mentioned really liking it. Yeah, I missed a pod too. Yeah. So
I'll just reiterate that game is rad and very good on Steam Deck, and it's the most playable ass game. It's just impossible to put down. It was only maybe 4, 5, 6 hours long, maybe in total, and I ate it up like fucking. Like a plate of Del Taco, just gone.
What's it?
Absolutely.
It's gone. Like Pikmin. Is that? What's the kind of genre comparison?
Aesthetically, God, what is it? It takes place in a house, and it's like a level lord Unreal Tournament maps. Like each room is you're a tiny thing in like a kitchen or a bathroom or a thing, and you basically just have to like collect all the things. And it's mostly like you are collecting these little round blobby guys that kind of look a little bit like Pikmin, but like, for instance, they're all different colors. There's four or five colors of them, and like the yellow ones, if you press a button, will stack on top of each other's heads, and you can climb them. So you need a certain amount of those to get to different areas. You know what I mean? So you're like collecting those guys and then going back, and then and then you've got a bunch of other ones that enable you to like go across the way, or they'll pick things up. Like, oh, you need 20 of these lifter ones to like pick something up. So by the end, you've got just like hundreds of these fuckers surrounding you, like, and you can stand on each other's shoulders, and you're like 4 feet in the real world height in the level. but it's mostly the game flow of it, like jumping around, platforming, using the guys. There's like a skateboard, there's like a surfboard, like hoverboard you use to get around. You can like skate on like lines and wires and edges of things, kind of like a Sunset Overdrive style, like that type of thing. So just like it's super colorful. It's when you go up to a quest giver or something, it's super fast. They tell you the thing and you keep going. It tells you where to go. The world is bright. It's like, you know, the way like games like Peggle and stuff are like impossible to put down because they just like keep you engaged. It's like that, but a 3D platform game. It's just so unbelievably fun to just play, and the sound effects and everything is just like so tight. It didn't like change my worldview like so many games in our Game of the Year list do, and I think that's why it's kind of a tricky one to sort of like talk about in those terms, but like easily one of the best games I played last year, but we didn't kind of get there. I didn't play it until Jesse's partner recommended it. But yeah, I kind of feel like I want to just like pay it forward and just tell people like it is super, super dope. It's available on Steam. I don't know how much it is. I don't think it was a full price game either, because it's not super long, but what is it? It's $25. 100% worth.
And I think it's on
price.
Game Pass on Xbox.
Oh really?
Shit.
Oh, there's like no reason not to play it. It's so good. And also like all the characters are 2D rendered.
Oh wow.
But it's a 3D world, and it looks super comic booky and gorgeous. It's like,
Wow, this is beautiful. This art style is really cool.
It's so nice to be in the world. It's like all the post effects and the lighting and stuff. It's a fucking treat. It's one of these games where like it didn't like, again, it's changing my worldview. I cannot think of anything about this game that I didn't like. If I did a GameSpot review, then there used to be like you have to put the good and the bad at the bottom. I could not think of anything to put in the bad. For what it's doing, it 100% sticks to landing. It's like perfect. But you know, it's just a culmination of like super fun gameplay stuff to work.
That's very cute. Danny, did you play It Takes Two? I know a lot of people played it.
No, I didn't. I want to, and my wife wants to.
Yeah, that's why I was curious, because I know that you and your wife play games together, and I thought that might be a good fit. It's the only reason I bring it up is because it kind of reminds me of this like kind of, you know, cartoon adjacent inspired, like this looks.
You're small in that game as well, aren't you?
Totally. Yeah, you're like the two parents of a kid that get shrunk down, and then they have to like overcome their differences to solve little puzzles. But yeah, it's I was curious only because it reminded me sort of this tonally, I guess. This one kind of looks like a Gravity Falls, kind of like Cartoon Network, cartoon inspired. That's more of like a Pixar
totally.
kind of thing. But yeah, I think if you, I mean, I haven't played Tinykin, so I can't really say, but I think if you like that, you might like It Takes Two. Oh, also, similar games you've played on Steam, It Takes Two. So.
Oh, really?
Yeah, It Takes Two is, I mean, obviously, it's a lot of people have praised it, and I thought it was really good because it feels like it was designed from the ground up as a co-op game. There's a lot of asymmetrical cooperation where they give one player a tool and then the other player kind of the corresponding tool. So it's like, oh, I need to like shoot those things so you can use your thing on them or whatever. So it's really fun. I feel like a lot of games with co-op are kind of just, you're both doing the same thing at the same time, and it doesn't feel like a meaningful collaboration. Whereas this is very much like the themes of two people overcoming their marital differences is expressed so well mechanically in the game as two people. Like it necessitates you doing kind of like the complementary action to each other. It's pretty cool.
Without spoiling it for me, is the whole, because I got a little bit turned off when I saw the framing device of the thing. Is it good? Did they make good on that? Or is it a bit like fucking rote?
Oh my god, I don't want to like, I never want to use this platform to like naysay anything. I thought it was incredibly strong mechanically. I thought the game design was fantastic. I thought the story kind of fell flat and was incredibly frustrating. I'll leave it at that.
Okay. That's what I assumed the game was, and I've almost, knowing that will make me feel like probably more enthusiastic to play it, because at least now I know kind of, I feel like we're probably on the same page how we'd feel about stuff,
definitely.
So.
It's if you just kind of, it's one of the, I mean, like I played Neon White and the story just, I could just tell it wasn't for me. I was like, I know for whoever this is for, I'm sure they adore it, and it wasn't for me, but it mechanically it's so strong. I was like, it doesn't even matter. I just want to like shoot the things and do the things. So it's kind of like that.
Is it what's the guy in It Takes Two? Is it like a talking piece of toast or something? What is he?
Oh,
It's like the Book of Love.
yeah.
Oh, the Book of Love. I don't know why I thought he was a piece of toast.
Dr. Hakim.
Yeah.
Probably
Book of Love.
probably the best and worst character in the game.
Cool.
Yeah.
That's good.
he's a lot to handle.
And it's very winky. I feel like the character even says like, "I know I'm annoying, but you can't get rid of me."
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
that kind of tone. It's like that.
Yeah, it's like, but sometimes it feels a little bit like your friend is doing a bit, and you're like, all right, man,
Yeah.
we get it, and he's like, I'm still gonna do the bit. It's like, dude, all right, like, there's, like, I don't know when this is gonna circle around to being funny again, but it's not now.
What you're saying has also just reminded me of the sort of general affect of High on Life.
Yeah.
Which is now a video game I guess I'll never fucking play
Yeah.
because of all the Justin Roiland stuff that's coming out. I think he's been charged with domestic battery or assault or he's been charged anyway. I don't think he's going to court over it, and obviously since then there's been a sort of like flood of tweets and stuff from like young teenage girls that he's been being a real fucking piece of creepy shit in his in their DMs. Such a fucking bummer, man. It's like, Jesus. I remember, like, we've talked on this show about how, like, I don't watch Rick and Morty and I'm not a fan of that show or anything, but the humor in, what was that
Accounting.
one? Accounting. It's like one of the funniest video games I've ever played. And I was like kind of like waiting to play High on Life. And it's like, we talked about death of the author, and we talked about the whole Rowling, transphobia stuff a couple of weeks ago. But like, even that is like somewhat divorced from it because it's like her property. But like, High on Life is literally the dude's voice.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's like, I can't. It's like completely ruined. Like, even if I wanted to like, just be selfish and enjoy the game and not think about it, I couldn't even.
Yeah, because it's
You know
just
what I
his
mean?
voice constantly.
I know.
Yeah, that's why I wonder
like, oh, right.
what they're gonna do with Rick and Morty. I feel like it has to die
Right.
because you can't. I mean, it's the two main characters are both voiced by the same guy. You know what I mean?
Did Dan Harmon also have some stuff come out about him a few years ago or something?
Frank, you wanna?
He did have stuff, and he made a very big like public apology about it, and it seemed like they let him slide. Like, he had stuff where I think he was being very. Man, it's been so long ago, but some stuff.
Let's just say some stuff, just in case you say it. Allegedly.
Yeah.
I revisited it recently because I was kind of trying to remember. Basically, someone in the writing staff he had feelings for. It was unreciprocated, and he kind of like favored her in the writing room. And then when his advances were rebuffed, he kind of like took it out on her in a professional capacity. And then
Can't be doing that.
Yeah, and so she called him out, and he made a very heartfelt public apology, which even the victim of his harassment referred to as a masterclass in apologies. Okay. So yeah, I mean,
But not in manipulation or anything.
no, it was
Like she believed his apology.
It was very much like him coming to terms with, here's a pattern of abusive behavior I've been engaging in without realizing it. I feel like I was conditioned to think that this is the way that men and women should act towards each other. Like, you should pursue. And I clearly took in some like toxic ideas about things and acted them out on a person in a way that hurt them.
All right.
So
So there's something there. We don't want to like fucking clean the slate for him either here. But like, sounds like, okay, it's not an equivalency with what's happening with Roiland. It sounds like it's probably maybe a couple of steps behind that stuff. But yeah, man, why can people just stop being pricks? Like, what the fuck? Like, sorry, I'm saying it. Now it sounds like, why can't these media creators just keep their opinions and stuff for themselves so I can enjoy the fruits of their labor? No, it is like it's weird. It's like, in many ways, I feel like, my eyes are open to, especially the way, sort of women are victimized or by that sort of stuff. But when I think about my life and I was like, I've met these people. I've met fucking shitheads. I've met people who have abused people. I know people who have hit people. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, I don't know why I thought that this didn't happen in the wider world, or I view it through a different lens. But it's like, oh no, I know shitheads, and like, yeah, I've come across these people. I've been victims of some situations that are not entirely separate to this. So I don't know why whenever it happens, it's such a shock. I think it's because, like, I don't know, like, these people, you assume you know them through their work, so maybe you just like assume, oh, if they got to this point, then they're not assholes. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
they would have done something by now. But
I think we also like to think that the
not.
people who entertain us and make us laugh and make life more bearable are like good people. I think there's something comforting about the fact that, I mean, I think that's the basis of a lot of parasocial relationships between audiences and content creators and entertainers and stuff, is that, you know, if there's someone who's, you know, making you laugh and making things decent for you, it's easy to assume that it's like, oh, okay, it's comforting for me to know that there are people out there who are like funny and caring and stuff like that. And it's just kind of like it's an unfair assumption to make because you don't know people just by their work or whatever.
Right. And that's kind of where the friction comes then in like the zeitgeist, isn't it? Because then there are the people who like are more or less okay with sort of engaging with that or holding those people accountable, right? Because like there's some people who'd be like, they don't want it to be a thing. So they're like, stop being a thing. She's not being transphobic. She just has ideas about, you know, that right? Because they don't want to have to reconcile all this stuff, which like, I get it. I don't believe that should be the way, but like I understand it because it's like, yeah, if you like really like those books and like you just don't want this to be a thing, and maybe you don't have any friends in that world, and you just like, stop it, it's okay, or like, yeah, he was sending stupid DMs, but like, and then we all end up fighting each other about it when it's like, it's not none of our faults.
Yeah,
whatever way we interpret what happens, it's the fucking jerk for making us have to have this conversation in the first place.
Yeah.
Wild. But anyway, we're not doing a doc on High on Life, I guess. I was half thinking about it. You know, you think about everything, you're like, oh, fuck. It's like the list keeps getting shorter and shorter the more of these stories come out. But thankfully, at least those people were able to talk about it. I don't know why I brought that up. You mentioned something about, it was the humor or something.
Oh, yeah, we're talking about jokes. Dr. Hakim. Hopefully nothing comes out about Dr. Hakim. That would just crush me. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
the Book of Love
exactly.
from whatever it takes two. I couldn't even remember the name of the game. It's been a while since I played
toast. I thought it was a piece of toast.
It does look like a piece of toast.
Am I having a stroke?
Do you smell toast?
No, but I've been thinking about it a lot recently.
No, I think you're just.
Maybe I
think you're just hungry.
Let's leave it there. Anything else before we wrap this baby up?
I didn't get too deep into Persona 4, but I will say I completely forgot the reason I bought the Steam Deck was so that I could play Persona 4 on it. So I woke up, I think even yesterday morning, and the first morning awake in bed, I just played Persona 4 on the Steam Deck, and oh my god, it's perfect. It's perfect. And it's kind of thing where the game, once you're in a flow state with it, it's so hard to put down. I quit Persona 4, and then I was in my room alone, and I'm like, oh, I missed that life. Like, I'm going to be diving into Persona 4, because like when I played Persona 5, I was kind of at the same point in my life where I just got out of a relationship. I was living alone at home with my mom, but I was like, where's my life going to go? I don't know. And I kind of got lost in Persona 5 over the course of like 8 months. So part of me is like, I might be a different person by the time I beat Persona 4, but I'm like,
nice.
I'm going to be playing Persona 4 this year. And it's such a game that like, it's very like nurturing. Like in the game of Persona, you're hanging out with friends, you're going on dates, you're texting people, you're leveling up your social links, and like there's so much like wisdom and charm in the music, and like it's so gratifying and pleasing to play. So it's like it truly is making me happy, and it's kind of nice to like at the beginning of the year clear my slate of like, okay, I'm not playing these games necessarily for work, for like end of the year stuff. Like, what do I really want to play? And Persona 4 was like the shower thought, the thing that kept coming up. So I kind of like had to break the ice and throw myself into it, but oh my god, it's landing. And I think the other thing too is Persona 3 is about to come out on Xbox soon, so I kind of want to
cool.
I want to get ready for that. But Persona,
so you've never played these games? You're kind of making your way back through them,
it's kind of going in a weird direction. I started with Persona 5, and I think that's the most accessible if you haven't played any of them. Jump in Persona 5 Royale. And then Persona 4 came out on Steam like 2 years ago. And then I think when Persona 3 comes out, I might just get that on Steam Deck, because playing on the Steam Deck is like, that's the perfect way to play those.
Nice. I started playing Worms WMD on Steam Deck now, because I completed it on Xbox Game Pass, so now I'm playing it on Steam Deck as well. Sorry, John.
I was just going to say that Persona 3 I've only played a little bit of, but it makes me laugh every time because it's this incredibly sincere and very dark game, but the way that they like summon their personae is to shoot themselves in the head. And it's just like every time they're like, let's fucking go, and then they just like blow their brains out. I'm like, oh my god, this is crazy. Be legend. Yeah, I don't know how to process it. It's too much for my little brain.
Excellent. If your little brain would like to watch some videos about video games and how they're made, we have a bunch of stuff. Gloomwood, our developer breakdown actually of it, hit the main channel last week. Great job, Jesse. It was a fun little project to get up there. If you're interested in immersive sims and stealth games, I think it's a fun one. We're going to be putting out those developer breakdowns out there sort of in that format, sort of less formally developer breakdowns, just more like shorter docs, bigger docs. We're just going to have a bit more fun on Noclip like we had on Noclip Crew last year and kind of just see what's working. We had 2 videos hit Crew as well. Myself and Frank played some games of Worms against each other. My apologies. Apparently the boat, the drill boat is a boat. Who knew that the thing that looked like a boat and said boat would actually float? So thank you and apologies to the people in the comments who thought that I was tricking you to get an upper hand. Apologies for that.
It's all good.
There's also a video. I put up a little video, sort of a stream of consciousness about the whole Donkey publishing thing. I'm not going to reiterate it here. You can go watch a 19-minute video if you want to hear my thoughts on it. But it's been interesting. There's been a couple of like threads and lots of comments in there from people giving their feedback on like sort of the ethics of somebody who's a YouTuber also publishing games. Leia, who is his wife, who does is doing this with him. Big Mode, their publishing company. She's been in the comments as well. So there's been a good bit of chat about it, which has been enlightening. And I think we'll probably talk about it at some different stage. I don't want to get into it now because there's a whole long video about it you can check out. And then in terms of other stuff coming to the site, looking over at my secret little message board behind me here, the first one is a big AAA project that we still can't talk about. We'll announce it in the next week or so, but Frank's been playing the crap out of those games. Jeremy's currently in the edit. We went into Los Angeles to a big studio to cover it. It's quite a good time as well, maybe, for this game to be talked about. Hyperlight Development Episode 2 will be going up, all about the crazy thing that's happened to that game. Hyperlight Breaker, basically a sort of almost a genre swap for it, which Heart Machine haven't really talked about yet, and we have all the dirty details, so that's going to be a lot of fun. Working on the Wipeout episode of Greatest Hits. I had 2 no-shows this week for that, but we have rebooked both of them. So 2 of my very early morning UK time interviews that I had to like get up super early for, both of them didn't happen this week, so I'm like, they better turn up to the next ones, I hope. Jeremy's working on that Signalis video essay as well. When are we going to get that? Next few weeks?
I'm gonna. The big documentary that we filmed that I am talking around the title of. I'm kind of splitting my time between that and the Signalis video essay right now.
Awesome.
The Signalis video essay is like, I think it's one of the coolest things I've ever worked on. I'm very excited about it. The tough thing is the game is so dense with like reference and symbolism and like, oh, this means this because it's connected to this, and I'm basically doing like a conspiracy pinboard of all of those things. And so I think it's going to be a lot of fun, but it is a gargantuan effort. So the effort is taking all of that and condensing it down into something very digestible and fun, because talking about everything would take me like 6 years of runtime.
Yeah, exactly. We're not H-Bomber guy. We can't have 3-hour video essays on Noclip Crew. I mean, maybe we can, but we can't. We wouldn't put out any documentaries if we did that. Aside from that, what else can I talk about? Dwarf Fortress, filming that in like a month or so, I think it is. What date are we now? It's like mid-January. It is mid-January, so it's like 3 or 4 weeks from now. And also, I'm not sure if I've said this publicly, but we're also going to, while we're in the area, we're also going to do a documentary on Choo Choo Charles. So that's going to be fun. I'm going to check in with that dude. We had him on the podcast, I think, a year and a half ago, talking about that, so it'll be fun to catch up with him on that. And then we also recently just secured another one of the biggest games that came out in 2022 to talk about the sole developer on that game. And I think that's going to be a lot of fun. That's a game we probably talked about quite a lot last year and was in our top 10, I believe, for 2022. So yeah, and we're just, everything's coming out fast. Our process at the moment is super slick. And then the videotapes. I got a lot of videotapes behind me. I got a whole room of videotapes in a different room. If you're watching the video version, I almost don't want to turn this camera, but if I do slightly, you can see VHS players, Betamax players, with like big ones with like SDI out. I've had a very weird couple of months trying to get all the equipment together so we can basically digitize 12 years worth of video game history that now lives in the studio. We're going to put a video about it up in February. It'll be part of our next funding push. We're sort of need to do a funding push at the moment because we're kind of back to where we were about 3 years ago. It's always the way Noclip works. We have these peaks and then slow little and peak and we need another peak. And one of the impetuses for that is going to be help us to digitize these tapes and find all of the nuggets on them. I will tell you, I've been running tests yesterday and the day before. I have already found probably 20 trailers that there are versions of online, but they are either in terrible quality or not as long as the ones I have. I found a cancelled game from 1994, which has never been, the full version of which had never been seen. I think 10 years ago there was a ROM dump of it, which had a prototype version of it, but the videotape that I have goes further than the prototype does and shows more of the game. I have footage and interviews from like mocap sessions from like Madden 2000 and all, like there's wild stuff. I have an interview with Oscar De La Hoya when they did the Knockout Kings 2000 mocap sessions. It's like, I always worried that some of these tapes wouldn't have that much on them. Everything is gold. So I'm very excited to start to I have to recapture all those tapes because I've learned how to do them a little bit better in the testing phase. But keep your eye on that. Keep your eye on our selection of game tapes, I guess, coming out later this year to an archive.org near you. All right, that's it. Thank you all so much for hanging out today, episode 107. Hit us up at patreon.com/noclip if you want to help us out and keep the train rolling here. Jeremy, what are you doing for the rest of your day?
Oh, I think it's time. I think it's time to get deep into Signalis and lose my mind.
I like it. The King in Yellow. He's
yeah. So that's the tease. Is I've read The King in Yellow for this video essay. Let me just say that.
Jesus. Well, who amongst us
who hasn't picked up a little 1800s literature for a video essay now and again?
Frank, what about you?
I will hike. I'm excited to do some game capture stuff for Noclip. I'm excited to read. Wednesday is always comic book day, so I open the morning going to the comic book shop. And then honestly, once I've gotten enough like Noclip work done for the day, I'm excited to get lost in Persona 4.
Hell yeah.
It's so good.
What's your comic book shop?
So Nuclear Comics in Orange County, by far like the best. I spent like the last 2 years going to so many comic shops. Nuclear Comics in Orange County. The owner Kenny is like world-class customer service. He remembers like everyone's taste. Like he's so good. There's also a location in San Diego, but Nuclear Comics is very, very awesome.
And shout out to Now or Never as well in
Yes.
San Diego.
That place is also
Aaron
good.
down there, good friends of ours. I think I'm going to play more Zero Sievert as I'm editing this. I have to wait for some equipment to come in to start on the tapes again. It's eBay stuff that's arriving tomorrow, so I'm going to wait for that. I was thinking, do you want to do like a little Let's Play of Zero Sievert, Frank?
I would love
this week?
to see that.
I think that would be a fun one. I'm going to play a bit more of it so I have more of a handle on it.
Yeah.
And then we might get that up this week on Noclip Crew. Maybe we could record it tomorrow and get it up on Friday.
Yeah, that'd be
fun.
awesome.
Awesome. All right. Well, there you go. Thanks so much for hanging out. Thanks for listening. Thanks to Jesse for producing the podcast as ever. And we'll see you next time. Peace.